Hey lovelies, I just finished my brow video, so if you want to learn a little more about how to fill in your brows, whether you have good thick brows or whether you have really skimpy ones like I do, then you can go watch that. We are going to jump in for an eye look. I know I've been messaged by a lot of you and told by some of you that you want to see eye looks because you're really uncomfortable with how to do your eyeshadows, and so you just kind of stay away from any eyeshadow. And I was going with something a little easier for you first, but I have a friend who has a date tomorrow night and she wants to learn the smoky eye, and so we are going all in. So we are doing a heavy glam smoky eye, and even if you are a beginner, I am going to keep this as easy as possible and do it in baby steps, and I think you will be able to handle it just fine and love it. If you're not used to wearing eye makeup at all, you probably aren't going to want to jump into going from all natural every day out into the world and the office with a heavy smoky eye. But the great thing about a smoky eye is that it's not just the typical black and deep and dark that you think of and that it kind of started as, but you can do it with pretty much any color scheme. So you could do it with pinks, you could do it with browns, you could do it with greens, blues. You can make it work with any color scheme, and so you can make a lighter version of that, and so it's really adaptable. So the first thing you are going to want to do is you're going to want to prime your eyes, and you can use an eyeshadow primer, but I have just been using my highlight colors, usually white peach or linen, to do that, and it seems to work really well. Even if you don't wear makeup, it helps a lot to cover the little tiny veins and the discoloration and the things that you don't even notice if you're not used to covering them up. And then when you start, you realize, wow, my eyes look a lot better, a lot more awake, and just a lot prettier if I prime them. So I'm using our detail HAC brush, the small end, which I love. And so I'm just putting a little bit of a light layer on there, but I'm making sure everything's covered. I'll just touch up a little here, although we're going to touch that up at the end. But just to give it extra staying power, I'm going to use our blush and bronzer brush, the big end, and just lightly put a coating of powder on there just to get things set. So we've got the staying powder, the vibrancy of the colors. And okay, so even though we have a primer on there, I'm going to use the eyeshadow everything brush, the big fluffy end, and I'm going to go ahead and still put a neutral color under it just to kind of emphasize making the colors more vibrant, giving them more pop. And if you use a little bit of a darker one like Pup with darker colors, it can just make those more vivid. If I'm going with a really light look and colors, then I will do it with either Sabrina or Cupcake. So I'll put Pup, just a really light wash over the entire eye. And Pup is one that you can hardly see. If I just put it on my crease, it would look really natural. You wouldn't be able to tell I had makeup, and it would give the tiniest bit of a shadow. But if you're putting it over the whole eye, you can't even really see it. Okay, so we are going in heavy and serious already. So I don't have the blend and tap brush. It was out of stock when I put in my order, and that's what I would really like to have because they have this domed kind of fluffy type brush. But since I don't have that, I am going to use my eyeshadow everything brush still. I'm going to the other end, and it is the pencil brush end, and I am going to dip right in to Glass Slipper, as in Cinderella is what always is in my head. And I am putting it on the middle of my lid. And actually, this is so potent. Let's go in with the other fluffier end first, because that'll just give us a wash. It won't be so heavy right off the bat. So I want to give my eye a brightness and give it some shimmer, some sparkle. This isn't a traditional glitter, but it is for sure a high shimmer color. And so it's a nice silver. Okay, so now just to deepen it, here in the middle, especially where I want it, the light to really hit it, I'm going to use that pencil brush end again and I'm gonna pack on the color. Even if you have a hooded eye where when you have your eyes open, you don't see the eyelid at all, or you see very, very little of it. Mine comes down a little far, but it's not completely hooded. You still want to play up your eye and make it pretty, because as you're looking all around, as you're looking down, as you blink or whatever, people will get little bits of that color. So still good to put. All right, so we have it nice and bright. And then let's go ahead and we'll go to our crease. I don't want to work on the darker colors yet because I want to get our crease set so we don't drag the darker colors into it yet. And I'm gonna go light at first. It's always best to go a little bit light because you can always darken it. It's a lot harder to take off the color. And so I'm going with this color Basic, and I'm going with the fluffy end of the eyeshadow Everything again. And I am just wiping it back and forth like windshield wiper blades and then kind of buffing out. I'm getting it in the crease. The crease is between your eyelid that covers your eyeball and this hole there that is right below your brow bone. And so just putting that in there. And I forgot to say, in between colors, you will want to take a towel and swirl around your brushes to wipe off the color. If it is really bright, I use Houdini spray cleaner, which I love. It's great for on the spot and cleaning, and it smells great. I am going into a little darker one. This is Bird. This is what I also use on the front part of my eyebrows. And I am going with the pencil brush end, and I'm sweeping it back and forth along that crease. And just kind of setting the backdrop for my eyelid to stick out and for my eyes to really pop. All of this is kind of contouring my eye so that it pops and you can really see the look, and so my eyes stand out. If you have a hooded eye, like many women do, especially as you get older, another thing you're going to want to do is your crease goes kind of deep in, and a problem or a mistake that a lot of women make is to just keep it just in this crease, but when they open their eyes and they have very hooded eye lids, then it comes down and you don't see that. And so you're going to have to then take this color up higher. You're going to have to go higher and lift it up and out. And so you kind of bring those eyes up, and so that you can kind of see the depth and the dimension in your color. So even if you don't have hooded eyes, you're going to want to bring it up a little, but you have to do it if you do have hooded eyes. So, and I am just using this pencil brush to keep putting it in the crease, and then I kind of work it in swirls and swipes up a little bit. Not all the way to my eyebrows, just bringing that color up and making sure that it's blended well, and just kind of darkening and deepening that. Okay, so starting to get a little more dramatic, but we've still got a ways to go. All right, so now I'm going to go into Junior Prom, which is this charcoal gray color, and it's still kind of a shimmer. It's not a matte for sure, but it's definitely not a glitter. And very, very lightly, with hardly any product on your brush at all, I'm just gonna fill in this little triangle of my eyelid with a little bit of that dark charcoal color. And I'm kind of smushing it up to the glass slipper in the middle, but I'm definitely not covering or going into that at all because I don't want to smear or muddy it. I just want to kind of marry the colors together where they have to, so I'm kind of buffing and softening right there along the edge and keeping the darkness in the outer part of that triangle. And we'll do the other side. And trying to keep it on the eyelid only. Okay, so as you can see, that gave a lot of drama there. And I'm just gonna get that top wasn't quite dark enough. Okay, so we are going to go into more of a matte color now, and let's start with oak. I use this on part of my eyebrows also. I'm going to use the pencil brush end, just a tiny dab of product again, and I'm going to put it on the end of my crease. This area is called the outer V. It's kind of like a V shape that is at the end of your eyelid. And a lot of times you can bring that in here along your eyelash line, but I'm really going to concentrate it right here. I just want to define that area and set it apart from my crease color, because the shimmer, I didn't wipe my brush good and the shimmer kind of melted up into the crease, and I want it to be clear where my crease is because it'll just show up better and be prettier. Okay. And all right, so getting even more drama. Let's go ahead. I'm not putting any more product on, but I am gonna just drag that oak along the front part of my crease now. I want most of that color concentrated on my outer V, but I'm going to swipe it back and forth in my crease just to kind of get that color going, give some depth to the inner part of my eye too and crease. And then I'll blend it up into that we did earlier. So I still have plenty of room here for my brow bone. Let's go in with another color, and let's go with Bubba. That is a nice neutral, almost like a light terracotta color. And I'm gonna put that under my eyebrow, but not all the way to my eyebrow, just to give it some more dimension and a little bit of color, so everything's not all monochromatic, all dark, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna bring a little bit of Bubba into the inside too, because it's a matte and I wanna get rid of some of that shimmer that is in my crease. Okay. All right, so you just kind of look at your eye, and it's gonna look different if you haven't done your eyebrows yet, and it's gonna look a lot different with the eyeliner and the mascara, but you just kind of gauge how dark and how deep you want to go, because if you're going somewhere before you go out, you don't want it too dramatic, looking like you're going to the club when you're at work. But if you are going out on a date like my friend and want to be pal and glam right from the beginning, then you can take this as dark as you want. So I'm going to darken it up a little bit more on this outside, this last half of my crease, with more of that oak, that deep dark brown color. And then before I make the decision on whether I want to deepen that crease anymore, let's go ahead and do the eyeliner, because I'm going to go pretty dark with that, and that'll kind of lead me to whether I need more darkness or whether I've got plenty going on. So Salem is one of my favorite eyeliners. I usually do not jump right into Salem, It's usually just like a extra deepening after I've done coal for my deep brown. But we are going all in and we're doing a smoky eye, and so I'm going straight to Salem. It's not a jet black, it's a deep charcoal black. So I'm using my Hotline brush, that angled, thin, razor thin brush. I'm dipping it lightly into Salem, and then I am taking it and kind of pressing the color close to my lash line. And that's all I'm doing. You can see me dotting it on. I'm just pressing the color on. Now this isn't like a color pen or something. It's not like a marker. And so when you need more color, when you can tell you're running out, you can get more and then work it over across into the mid part of your lash line. You can see it deepening, and you can go as far as you want. Some people will bring it all the way in, and with a dramatic look, you could definitely get away with that. I usually don't. Once in a while I do, but I like to take it like just past the middle, like just on the inside of my iris. I take it about that far, and I get the color laid really well there. And I make sure we have a solid line. I make sure it's kind of deep. And you don't have to do this, but I love a cat eye. And so I'm going to wing it out a little bit. When you wing it out, make sure you're not going straight across. You want to go up a little because you want to give your eye a lift. You don't want to drag it down, make it look like you've got droopy or tired eyes. And so I wung that out. Now, I always forget to do this, but usually dark shadows have some fallout, and that is the dust that comes down when you're putting it on. You need to tap your brush after you get color. You tap it a little on your palette, and that'll take some of that fallout off the brush. I forget to do that very often. So we'll clean this up later. It's gonna make a shadow. It's gonna look a little weird, but in the meantime, when I notice a lot of fallout coming down, I just take an old makeup brush. You could pretty much use anything. I like to use one that I have used for foundation. Sometimes I'll even use one of my regular foundation brushes, but you got to make sure to clean it if you do, if you're getting like black fallout on it, at least swirling it in your towel. And then I'll take it and I'll swipe it across. Now, it'll still leave a little bit of shadowing. That's not going to look as good against our eye, but we'll clean that up at the end. So I keep putting this Salem as dark and deep as I want to really get that lash line deep. And then as I get it on, you'll notice I'm kind of flicking up, just barely flicking it up. I don't want to make a zebra stripe up my eye, but I do want to thicken that eyeliner line and at the same time kind of smudging it a little bit or smoking it. And so I like a thicker line, and so I like it a little bit smudged and blend. And this is what gives you smokiness, is when you smudge it. And the best smudger, and one we'll use more in a second, is the pencil brush. It smudges really, really well, no matter how thin your line. If you want to smudge that out and soften it, you will need that tool to do it well. So I'll go ahead and put it on the other side. Now we're not completely done with our shadows yet, but sometimes when I'm determining how dark to go or how much more I need to do, I like to put on my eyeliner because that'll be similar to the look of getting on the mascara, and then that'll tell me where I stand, whether my look looks like to me it's done or whether it needs some more shading or shadowing or pops of color or highlights or whatever that is. Okay, so, and I'm winging it on this side too. And you just keep looking at it, make sure it's the right depth of color that you want. Sometimes when you're smudging it, you'll lose a little bit of the depth or richness, and so you'll just need to go in and add back more color to kind of deepen that where you feel like you lost a little too much. And that is our top line. So, okay, so now looking at this, when I close my eye or when I look down, I like to have it deeper in the crease, so it really cuts that crease a little bit and shows it off. So we did a little bit of oak. Let's go into an even darker one. Let's go into this raisin-like color. It's called Cocoa, and I love it. It's really nice. And it kind of darkens things, but still gives a little bit of color. And so it's not too crazy. It can still be a nighttime glam color because it can be very deep. And so I'm putting it along this second half of my crease where you feel this bone. You stop, you don't go above that bone right there, and you don't go down onto your eye because you don't want to muddy that. It's just back and forth in that crease just to kind of deepen that a little. And you can also bring that cocoa down a little bit and add it to that junior prom that we have there, because the junior prom is a shimmer, and so it's gonna reflect light, and so it's not gonna show the depth as well. So now we've got some darkness, but we have all of our darkness pretty much on this side of the eye. So let's go ahead and bring it. Don't add any new color. You're just swiping it in to kind of bring it inward and upward a little so that it's all kind of uniform in the color. Not up too far. We don't want to go up into the bubba, and we don't want to go all the way to our eyebrows. And then we'll go ahead and add some of that cocoa on the other side to deepen the crease here. You could go even darker. Again, you can use this with different colors. I would not go with a black. Sometimes people think they need to go with like a black in their crease. You don't have to go with a black to get a lot of darkness and a lot of depth. And when you have dark eyes, like I have green eyes, they're not super light. When you have the black eyeliner going on and when we put it down on the bottom, you're gonna have plenty of darkness and it's gonna come off as plenty deep. So there are a few times where you may want to put a really, really super deep color there, but usually not. Usually you're going to get plenty of depth with this, and you don't want to have like a raccoon eye where you don't have any light or color going on. Like I said, there's a place for that and a few instances where that looks good, but for the most part, start light and you can always build depth and color from there. At the inner corner, we can either keep that light with the glass slipper like the middle, or we can contour our eye even more. But let's go into a little bit of Amethyst. It's a super light, like heather gray with a touch of lavender. And we'll just darken it just a smidge. I could have totally went with another shimmer here. In fact, I considered it with GG right next to it. That would have been another good choice, and that kind of deepened it up and contoured the little eye, and that's going to make this in middle glass slipper really pop. So I want to give my glass slipper even more pop, and so I am going to do a little trick. You could either spray some Stay Spray, which is our setting spray, directly on your brush and then dip in and get the same effect. Probably even stronger, or you can touch the color, the shimmer, to your finger and maybe not get quite as vibrant as the Stay Spray, but you can still get some of that vibrance. So I'm packing that with my finger there in the center of my eye, so it reflects that light and shines even more. So, all right, let's work on the lower lash line. And everyone wants to make and I have been guilty of this before for years and years, kind of a harsh, dark line, and you feel like you need to go darker if you have darker eyes and darker hair, and but it looks better to keep it soft. And so even though we can totally go with a darker color, and we do want to have a little bit of darkness in there, we'll start with Cocoa. just a tiny dab on the Hotline brush, the angled thin, and we'll put that as close to the line, the lash line, as we can get. And we're just gonna pat that color on, and you can bring it halfway in, you can focus it on the outer. It's really your preference. And this is gonna look a little harsher at first, but we're going to soften that up because this is a smoky eye, so we're wanting to smoke it. Okay, I usually do this right before and didn't, but let's take a little bit of that amethyst, that kind of purpley gray color, and we're going to add it with the pencil brush right over that. Usually I start with this, but I didn't, and that's okay. And you're going to take it right over that. So you're going to be adding a little bit of a halo to your eye, smoking that and bringing the liner farther down. You're also smudging the cocoa that we put kind of a heavy line with. And so you'll still have some of the darkness of that cocoa, but you're not going to be able to find the line. And we're just going to kind of bring that along. Now I'm going to start with the amethyst on this side and kind of give a halo to my under eye. Again, with this one, you can just do the outside, you can do it halfway, you can do it all the way. I generally start a lot of times with like a lighter crease color, and so that's what it looks like without the cocoa that we used. But just to keep things symmetrical, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of that cocoa over here too. And then we'll go ahead and smudge that out. So then I still feel like I need some darkness to my eyeliner up here because I don't want it to be too, blend in too much to where you can't see the line. I like the line. And so I'm going into my Black Friday, which is a cream eyeliner, and this is black. It's not the more charcoal black that Salem is. It's deeper, and so I'm just gonna do the same type of motions. I'm gonna mainly stay down by the lash line. I'm not gonna flick up too much, and deepen that black, that line. Sometimes I'll totally smoke it out and have it only smoky, but a lot of times I like a more defined line and then a little bit of smokiness here, especially in the middle. Now, if you want total smokiness on that, if you don't want the defined line, then you can go back with your pencil brush and smoke that out and get it totally smoky. So now we are going to put on the mascara, and we still are not completely done after this, but we're getting closer. So get it as close to the root or the base of your lash line that you can. If you're not used to putting on mascara, you will get the hang of it, but it takes practice just like everything else. Makeup is just like anything else. It takes practice to improve, and try to look away and get these tiny little baby hairs on the inside. Okay. And I just thought of something I should have done before I did this, but that's okay. I'm doing this dramatic smoky eye, heavy glam look, and I have nowhere to even go today. I'm just staying home with my pup and waiting on my kids, and working from home. All right, okay. So that's the mascara. I also put it on the bottom. I didn't for a long time, and I mentioned this, I think maybe in the Cheetah Hack video, that I didn't really like the look for a long time, so I didn't do it, especially with my little fine lashes that are so thin. But I feel like it looks a lot better after it dries. So if you first put it on and don't like it, don't wipe it off right away. Just let it sit and dry, and then those eyelashes stick back up and it looks better. So sometimes when doing this, I will get it down on my lower lash line, and all you do of course, is just clean it up a little bit with your Q-tip. And also the Hotline Brush, the spoolie end that I said is similar to a mascara wand. If I get any clumpiness at all, or if it sticks to my skin, I can just pull that out a little. So the thing that I forgot to do, we want to give a little bit of brightness and more pop to the inside to kind of give you a little more life and brighten that up. And we are going to unicorn because unicorns are magical, of course. And this white color does really great. We're just going to put this along that little inside tear duct area of your eye. We're going to keep it pretty tight. Make sure, which I did not do well enough, make sure that you have wiped off your pencil brush well so that you don't carry any amethyst or anything else over. And it just gives it a really nice pop and glam. And then we are going to clean up the area and do one more thing because I want to show you how much of a difference it makes. So I'm going to clean that up. We have makeup wipes, but I was unable to get those. So I'm just going to clean up whatever didn't come off with the makeup brush wiping. I'm just going to clean up a little with a little bit of lotion on a Q-tip. And like I said, the black colors and the dark colors are the worst ones, I feel like, with fallout. And so it's a pain, but it's not a big deal. You don't want to give yourself black eyes or make it look like you've been in a fight or didn't get enough sleep. Usually it sits right here. Clean up what you need to, and then go back in with your highlight, your brightening highlight. And I'm going to use linen. That's one of my favorites. And I'm using my Detail HAC brush, the small end, and I am going to clean up that whole area and brighten it again under here. And it just makes a huge difference. I should have left the fallout on one so you could see. So make sure you do wipe up that fallout. If you had to wipe at all in this area, remember brightening triangle. So redo that if you need to. And so one more thing, I want to hit right below my brows because it gives you a little bit of brightening. And I'm going to use our Multitasker brush, and I'm going to use the tiny little end that I use for lips. Going to go into this one, which is Glamazing, and this, you'll notice it's much bigger. That is because it is an illuminator. And so that is what you would use like on your cheeks and nose and the different parts that I mentioned in How to Hack. And we'll put that just under the brow just to give it a little more sparkle, a little more brightness. You don't want to do too much because it looks a little weird, but also you're using up valuable real estate that you could be using on your color in your crease, and you don't want to waste all that with just a highlight. So we just want a smidge of it. I'm going really light. I'm using the other end of my multitasker. And okay, so that is a classic smoky eye. You can smoke this out as deep and as low as you want. You can add another matte color. We'll do one last thing. I'm going to take that Multitasker brush, the small end. I'm going to dip back into my glass slipper, which is that silver we used on the lid. And I'm going to put it right, extend it on the bottom just a little to bring that shine down. So that little extra pop of glass slipper, of shine and shimmer and glam on your bottom eyes just takes the glam look up to another level. So I hope that was helpful. If you are interested in any of the colors I used, I will have all of those listed, and I will have a link to where you can purchase those on my site. And then also, if you are interested in getting color matched for your skin color, let me know, reach out to me, and we can get that done. And if there are any tutorials you want to see, how-tos, any color schemes, whatever else you want me to demonstrate on makeup or beauty, let me know and I'll work on those. And thank you for joining me, and go have a great night in your glam look. You are going to be smoking.